Underhells Campaign. Game 4. Genestealer Cults Kopalnioki Vel Licorice vs. Palanite Enforcers Slagtown Rangers. Mission: Monster Hunt. Gangs continue their fights in the Ash Wastes part of Secundan Exclusion Zone, on the way towards the Secundan Abyss. At least for this mission we can relax from the hectic nature of the rolling roads and play a regular scenario. The fight takes place in a ruined mining precinct. But instead of Malstrain infection, inhabitants of this area fell to a potent curse of one of the ruinous powers, a Gellerpox infection. A heavily mutated overseer of the precinct still protects it to this day and fends off Malstrain horrors as well as gangs venturing over the dust wall. Mission for today is a monster hunt mission, adapted for the Underhells campaign. It starts as a normal deathmatch, but each time a fighter suffers a serious injury, or a flesh wound, a manifestation of the Gellerpox infection appears. It follows the rules for a beast lair. Maximum of 4 manifestations can appear in this way. Malstrain horrors start spawning from a turn following the appearance of 3rd beast lair. When the final, 4th beast lair is destroyed, a mutant appears from it and starts fighting the gangs directly. The gang that deals the final wound to the mutant is the winner of the scenario. Malstrain horrors and Gellerpox entities treat each other as enemies. To make matters worse, battlefield condition means that everyone treats the battlefield surface as difficult terrain. As this is the first game of Palanite Enforcers, they have access to all their fighters, and, thanks to a good roll for random crew size, all of them will be present during today's fight. The list starts with the subjugator captain named Mountain, on a dirt bike with Vigilance Assault Shield and a stub gun with dum-dum rounds. Following him will be Sergeant Flash, also on a dirt bike, equipped with a deadly combination of hip shooting and enforcer combat shotgun. Second Sergeant, Delight, prefers a more stationary approach with fast shot and enforcer bolt gun. The gang has a plethora of bodies. We start from the more tanky subjugators, with layered flak armors, Specialist Boomer with a subjugator grenade launcher, and Bouncer with shock stave, Vigilance Assault Shield and auto pistol. Next are 2 regular patrolmen, one with a sniper rifle, second with a concussion carbine. Since Slagtown Rangers are Malstrain corrupted, 2 brood-scums also join the gang, one equipped with short-range but deadly blasting charge, and the other with just a last gun. The vehicle is Tauros Venator with twin-linked heavy stubber. Contrary to Enforcers, Genestealer Cult is heavily undermanned. They lost their specialist in the first game of the cycle against Derelict and decided to keep his web gun in the guild stash. Their 2 heavy hitters, Leader, as well as one of the champions, have to spend time in the recovery. To bolster their strength, they have a total of 4 brood-scums joining. One as a boon from the Underhells territory, the other 3 from being an underdog. The main gang has a champion, Pieter, with grenade launcher, aberrant Bernard Beaton with 2 fighting knives and 5 hybrids. 2 of them have last guns, one with an autogun, one with a shotgun, and the last one has a dirt bike and an incendiary charge. Finally, we have a rock grinder vehicle armed with twin-linked autocannon. Gangs deploy on 2 sides of the map, meeting up near the crossroad in the middle of the precinct. Shield-wielding subjugator Bouncer deploys next to his Sergeant Delight with a bolt gun. They both can ignore battlefield surface effects and move freely for the entire game, thanks to the Ashes in My Blood tactic card. There is a strong bike presence on the southern side of the map, with Flash ready to cover that flank completely with his combat shotgun, and Leader, deployed in the middle, ready to support any flank. The northern part is where both scums are deployed as well as the Enforcer's vehicle. Thanks to support from brood-scums, the Genestealer Cults can also field a lot of bodies. A group of 3 pushes on the southern flank. Middle is secured by a handful of gangers as well as slow-moving rock grinder, following the road. A couple of fighters from the middle will follow outline of a building to try to flank from north, Biker Bersic and Aberrant Beaton. In the first activation of the game, brood-scum Roach jumps out onto the shifting dunes, trying his luck in opening an ammo crate. What he finds though is just a booby trap. Frag grenade pins him, but otherwise he is left unharmed. On the other side, Champion Pieter does the same but is lucky enough to find a bunch of credits instead. First blood is quite quickly drawn, as the regular ganger, also named Pieter, manages to hit and seriously wound Earthquake with his last gun. This spawns the first Gellerpox manifestation. Captain Mountain is a bit too far to help with the recovery roll for Earthquake. Nevertheless, in the end of the turn, the ganger will manage to succeed in the recovery roll, suffering a flesh wound injury and spawning another Gellerpox infestation in a close proximity. While most gangers spent their first turn trying to navigate through difficult terrain and take position near the middle of the board, Hybrid Joseph and Aberrant Bernard use their transport to move much quicker along the road. After a failed shot from the vehicle itself towards the sniper deployed on top of the crates, Joseph takes aim at the same target. His hit is much more deadly as the injury die rolls an out-of-action result. Bingo is taken out, but no manifestation is spawned. For the rest of the turn, no more important events happened, and with only 2 infestations spawned, we still have some time to go before the Gellerpox infested mutant appears. Malstrain horrors, however, will just need a single flesh wound or serious injury result in second turn to start appearing from the beginning of third turn. Most fighters are still out of 18 inches visibility range, so second turn starts with Roach getting up after his unfortunate booby trap accident and moving up towards the staircase near the edge of the map. Bersic on bike decides to risk it. He moves forward and tosses an incendiary grenade towards one of the subjugators. The grenade pings of his armor, however, and scatters just under the unlucky Roach's feet. He again falls on the ground, pinned, this time engulfed in flames. Delight wastes no time and quickly takes revenge on the biker, sending him out of action with a series from an Enforcer bolt gun. On the other side of the battle, Flash waited long enough for some enemies to come forward and finally leaps forward. He uses hip shooting to sprint and position himself behind 2 manifestations. He fires his Enforcer combat shotgun, hitting 2 Genestealer Cults fighters. He scored the maximum number of scatter shots on both, but only 1 injury roll is made, thanks to some pellets being stopped by the cover or not wounding altogether. Flesh wound is scored, which means that a 3rd manifestation is spawned in this area. The 4th and final manifestation is spawned when Rock Grinder fires and seriously injures Boomer in the northern part of the map, just behind a big barricade. The rest of the turn was a few pot shots between the gangs. Finally, Earthquake tries to move more into the center of the board but misjudges the distance to one of the manifestations. It attacks him, taking him out of action with a partially deafened result. Boomer bleeds out at the end of the turn. Third turn sees the first horror appearing on the battlefield, a single Tyrannite, coming out from a vent near 3 Gellerpox manifestations. Since no more manifestations can appear, gangs decide on a temporary truce to finish off all of them first. This means that Flash, who just recently charged forward to shoot at Genestealer cultists, turns back his bike and navigates to position himself in a line to hit 2 manifestations. He again scores a maximum of 12 scatter shots, this time not getting even a single wound, however. Even Tyrannite tries to help the gangs, charging one of the manifestations. The rest of the gangers just shuffle around to position themselves best for the inevitable end of the ceasefire. Brood scums enlisted into Malstrain corrupted enforcers help each other, with Fanboy managing to help Roach with Blaze check. Other fighters try to whittle down some of the manifestations. Most of the shots, however, either miss or cannot go through their corporeal form. This includes even the heavy weapons mounted on both vehicles. Only 1 manifestation was removed from the battlefield this turn, the one charged by a Malstrain horror. Since so little was done in the last turn, gangs decide to extend the truce for another turn. This seems to favor especially Genestealer cults, since a group of brood scums, one with a fighting knife and auto pistol, the other with a shotgun, appeared just behind the group of gangers marching next to a rock grinder. Since ceasefire does not include Malstrain horrors, the scum with a shotgun is chosen to activate early, and pumps a solid shotgun round into back of one of the scums that joined Licorice gang for this fight, seriously injuring him. The other horror manages to pin another fighter. Joseph jumps down from the vehicle to help with recovery of his fellow ganger, which will succeed in the end phase. The situation is a bit more clear when Shotkovi Pieter manages to kill one of the horrors. 2 manifestations on the south side are taken care of by 2 Enforcer champions. This leaves just the last one on the northern part of the map. A lot of guns were pointed and shot in its direction, but it survives with just a single wound. The posturing of some of the gangers, especially the Aberrant, who finished his trek over the staircase, and Enforcer leader on bike, suggests that the truce might come to an end very soon, however. Another group of horror brood scums decided to show up on the battlefield at the start of the next turn, This time a full house of 3 scums and 1 leader appeared. Champion Pieter loads a frag grenade and lobs it in the middle of this group. Grenade explodes, leaving only leader scum alive. Delight joins in, and shoots the remaining leader down soon after. The lone, surviving horror scum at the back of the Genestealer Cult army is still up however, surviving yet another shot from Gyrad's shotgun. The truce is finally broken, when Aberrant Bernard charges and seriously injures Fanboy, but decides to consolidate instead of finishing him off. But before a full gang-on-gang violence starts, a shot from Harvester finally takes down the final manifestation and Overseer of the Precinct appears. Showcasing Genestealer intelligence, they position Rock Grinder to block his advance towards more vulnerable gangers behind it. Ganger Pieter does a brave thing, standing up and deciding to shoot instead of moving. This means that shifting dunes deal a point of damage to him, which results in a serious injury. He bleeds out with a critical injury at the end of the turn. Fanboy manages to recover in the end phase, just to be charged again by Aberrant in the following turn. This time Bernard manages to take him out of action with his bare hands, to fulfill his subplot condition of killing someone unarmed. Another big group of scums appeared, led by a leader, this time on the back of Enforcers. Bouncer turns around and charges them immediately, trying to shield his vulnerable comrade with a bolt gun. Together they manage to kill a couple, while their counterattacks don't do much. There are a couple of other skirmishes happening. Bernard continues to chase gangers around, even threatening Toro's vehicle. But Buster is more focused on its main target. The Enforcer vehicle is the first one to take out 3 wounds out of the mutant. Genestealer cultists in the middle also try to shoot at the monstrosity, but most of the shots are missed because of the heavy cover between them and the target. Matters are even more complicated when another group of horrors, this time a full group of 3 Tyramites, appear from a vent that Hero Horror Brood scum with shotguns still guards. They spread around charging various targets, with some success. One manages to kill a brood scum of Genestealer Cults, while the other that charged Gyrad fluffs his attacks and is taken out by a reaction attack. His triumph is short-lived however, when panicking Ignac fires his last gun at a nearby Tyramite, misses, and seriously injures Gyrad, hitting him via a stray shot. Most of the Enforcers at this point were busy fending off Malstrains on their side of the board. Everything changed when Harvester hits the mutant with 2 rapid-fire shots from his autocannon. They both go through and mutant drops on precarious 1 wound. Delight wastes no time, turns around, ignoring incoming brood scums, and fires at the Gellerpox mutant and deals the last point of damage. Enforcers are victorious. Enforcers gain a massive 9 reputation from this mission, along with 100 credits from their terrain. But poor trading post roll makes it impossible to spend it yet. MVP was given to Delight, who managed to score quite a few kills, including Biker Bersic, some brood scums from Genestealer Gang as well as Malstrain horrors. But most importantly, he dealt the final blow to the mutant, securing a win for Enforcers. LVP was given to Roach. It was not his day with exploding loot crate, scattering incendiary grenade and then breaking after seeing his friend being obliterated by Aberrant and never rallying. Genestealer Cults also managed to gain a decent 5 points of reputation, mainly due to Aberrant securing a subplot. They are once again plagued by very unlucky lasting injury rolls. Ganger Pieter was stabilized by the hanger-on rogue Doc, but during the operation Doc's tool must have slipped and poked one of his eyes out. He will have to enjoy -1 ballistic skill from now on. MVP was awarded to Champion Pieter, who proved very successful with his grenade launcher, killing loads of brood scums. LVP was given to Ignac, who seriously injured Gyrad at the end of the game. Gyrad succumbed to his injuries and rolled an old battle wound for his lasting injury. Very exciting but also difficult mission. Both gangs managed to find a perfect balance of fighting each other, Malstrain horrors and Gellerpox infestations and the monster. Till the very end we had no clue who was going to win, or if the game would end in a draw, if one of the Malstrains managed to kill the target. This unfortunately means that Kopalnioki still have to fight for their first win. In the next matchup we will have our first Sector Mechanicus fight with no vehicles present. The mission is asset removal and 2 gangs will try their best. Goliath Combinat of the Boiling Fury and Van Saar Blind Vascular Justice. See you next time.